Welcome to my OBS Studio screen recording tutorial. I am Michael Cooney, and over the next hour, you are going to transform from a complete beginner into someone who can confidently record professional quality screen content. OBS is completely free, yet it delivers the same capabilities that professionals use. And by the end of this training, you will have hands-on experience configuring OBS and producing your first high-quality recording. The main reason I create trainings like this is simple. I genuinely love to help people. And I consider you all my brothers and sisters, and I mean that from deep down in my heart. There is nothing more rewarding to me than watching someone gain a skill that changes how they work and how they serve others. What you're about to learn is not complicated, but it is powerful. In less than an hour, you will have the same recording capability used by professionals all around the world. And here's what excites me the most. Once you have this skill, you can teach others. You can create content and multiply your impact far beyond what any single conversation could ever accomplish. So think of me as your teammate and your guide. But first, let me show you who else uses this tool. Online educators, teachers, universities, YouTubers, podcasters, journalists, news broadcasters, corporate webinars, product launches, churches, streaming services, concert halls, live music performances, live gameplay streamers, coding tutorials, software demonstrations. All of these professionals trust OBS Studio. It's completely free, no watermarks, no limitations, and today you'll join their ranks. Why do professionals choose OBS Studio over dozens of other recording options? First, it is 100% free forever. There are no watermarks on your videos, no subscription fees, and no features locked behind a paywall. Everything you need is included from day one. Second, this is the same tool used by YouTube's top educators, professional trainers at Fortune 500 companies, and content creators all around the world. You are learning industry standard software. Third, OBS works identically on Windows, Mac, and Linux, so your skills transfer across platforms. Today, we are focusing exclusively on recording. OBS can also do live streaming, but we are keeping things simple and mastering recording first. Here's exactly what you will master in this training. You will learn to capture your entire screen or just a specific application window, depending on what you need to record. You will learn to record your microphone voice separately from the sounds that your computer plays, which is essential for narrated tutorials and meeting recordings. You will configure settings that protect your recordings from file corruption and optimize quality for your specific needs. You will learn to execute recordings in the background while you work on other tasks. And you will produce files that are ready for editing, or sharing with colleagues, or sending to transcription services. These are practical, immediately useful skills. When you first open OBS Studio, the interface can look intimidating. There's panels everywhere and buttons you've never seen before, but here's the good news. For recording purposes, we only need to understand a few of these panels. The sources panel is where you add everything you want to record, so think of it as your ingredient list. The audio mixer shows you real-time volume levels so that you can see if your audio is too quiet or too loud or just right. The controls panel contains the buttons that you will actually click. Start recording, stop recording, and then access to settings. The large preview area in the center shows you exactly what your recording will capture. So ignore everything else for now. We'll just use these few panels, and that is all we will focus on. Sources are the fundamental building blocks of every recording that you create in OBS. Let me explain the 4 sources that you will use most often. Display capture records your entire monitor. Everything visible on your screen gets recorded, including all open windows, your desktop, your taskbar, and your mouse cursor movements. This is perfect for software demonstrations where you need to show multiple applications. Window capture is more focused. It records only a specific application window. And here's the powerful part. It captures that window even when other windows are covering it. This is ideal when you want to record just Zoom or maybe PowerPoint without showing everything else on your screen. Audio input capture records your microphone. This is your voice for narration and commentary. Audio output capture records everything your computer plays through its speakers or headphones. This includes Zoom participants or YouTube videos, system sounds, and application audio. Here's the critical rule. If something is not added to your sources panel, it will not appear in your recording. So sources are your recording ingredients. Audio capture in OBS follows 2 distinct paths, and understanding this will save you from the most common recording mistakes. Path 1 is your voice. Your microphone connects to audio input capture, and this records everything you say. Path 2 is computer sounds. Your speakers or headphones connect to audio output capture, and this records everything your computer plays. So let me give you practical examples. When you record a Zoom meeting and want to capture what other participants say, you need audio output capture because their voices come through your speakers. When you record a tutorial and want to add your own narration, you need audio input capture because your voice comes through your microphone. When you want both, like a narrated software demonstration where you are explaining while the software makes sounds, you use both sources together. This dual path concept is essential, and we will set both up in the live demonstration. Recording settings determine 3 critical outcomes: whether your files survives a crash, how large your files become, and how good they look. For recording format, choose hybrid MP4. This is crucial. Standard MP4 files become completely corrupted if OBS crashes or your power goes out. Hybrid MP4 protects your recordings while maintaining compatibility with every video player and editor. For recording quality, select high quality, medium file size. This delivers excellent visual quality while keeping the files manageable. For recording path, choose a folder on a drive with plenty of free space. A 1-hour recording at high quality can exceed several gigabytes. For resolution, match your monitor's native resolution for maximum clarity. For frame rate, use 30 frames per second for tutorials and talking head content, or 60 frames per second if you are recording fast motion like gaming. We will configure all of these settings together in the live demonstration. You now understand the concepts that make OBS Studio powerful. You know what sources are and which ones matter for recording. You understand the 2 paths that audio takes and when to use each one. You know which settings protect your work and optimize quality. Now it is time to put this knowledge into action. In our live demonstration, we will open OBS Studio together. I will walk you through adding your first sources step by step. We will configure your microphone and your desktop audio. We will set up recording settings that protect your files from corruption. And you will execute a test recording to verify that everything works. If you have not already installed OBS Studio, Pause now and download it from obsproject.com. Otherwise, open OBS Studio now on your computer and we will configure your first recording together. So to begin, we are here at the OBS Studio user interface. You should have OBS Studio open on your screen. And now we are going to configure everything together step by step. If your screen looks different from mine, do not worry, we are going to set this all up from scratch. So let me orient you to what you are seeing. At the top is the menu bar with File, Edit, View, and other options we will use shortly. The large area in the center is your preview window. Right now it is empty because we have not told OBS Studio what to capture yet. At the bottom of the screen, you see the panels that I mentioned in the slides. On the left is Scenes, next to it is Sources, then the audio mixer in the center, then Transitions, which we will ignore, and finally Controls on the far right with our recording buttons. Now remember, we only care about the scenes, the sources, the audio mixer, and the controls. We're not using scene transitions like you would in a production type environment. So I will just go ahead and turn scene transitions off. You would just basically go up to Docks and it'll show you what is docked at the bottom. And I will undock scene transitions. And that leaves us with the 4 things that we actually are going to use. The first thing we need to do is create our scene. Now you'll notice I have OBS Instant 2. It's interesting that OBS Studio will allow you to run 2 instances or more of OBS Studio. So actually I have 3 screens in front of me. My primary monitor that I'm looking at here. I have my monitor to my left and my monitor to my right. The one to my right is running my first instance of OBS Studio. And I'll show you that here in just a moment. Now, you cannot delete this last scene. Watch what happens when I try to delete it. There needs to be at least 1 scene. So that's fine. I need to add a scene, and we'll call this Michael's OBS tutorial. And now I can delete this if I wanted to, because now we have that 1 scene. You always have to have at least 1 scene. And I will typically have multiple scenes here. I'll have screen number 1 with mic, screen number 2 with mic, screen number 3 no mic, or whatever I decide, to have. I'll have multiple ones. I cleaned everything up and went back to scratch so that I can show you guys exactly what it looks like when you install it for the first time. So now that we have named our scene, we can add our first source. The first thing we need to capture is our screen, and we do this by adding a display capture source. When I click the plus button under Sources, a menu appears showing all the different types of sources that I can add. You will see options like audio input capture, audio output capture, browser, display capture, game capture, image, and many others. So I am going to select display capture. This window appears asking me to name the source. The default name is display capture, and that is perfectly fine for now. You can rename sources later if you want to stay organized. I'll just go ahead and name it primary laptop screen. Now this property window opens, and this is where I configure what this source actually captures. At the top you see a capture method dropdown, so just leave this set to automatic unless you experience issues. Automatic works for the vast majority of systems. If you want, you can choose Windows 10 and up. Below that is the display dropdown, and this is critical if you have multiple monitors like I do. You will see each of your displays listed here with their resolution and position coordinates. Before I choose my primary, I will just go ahead and show you the screen to my right is that first instance of OBS Studio I was telling you about. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's named OBS Studio Master. And then it has my display capture set to the primary monitor, which we are looking at right now. And it shows the two sources that I've chosen for that first instance, the display capture of my primary monitor and my microphone. And you can see the audio mixer bouncing up and down, showing that I have good audio. So that all looks good. But what we're recording right now is the primary monitor. So watch what happens when I click this. It's seeing itself in infinity. Now below that is a checkbox labeled capture cursor. And this is very important for tutorials. When this is checked, your mouse cursor will appear in the recording. For teaching software or demonstrating workflows, you absolutely want this enabled so viewers can follow along with what you are clicking. And sometimes I will turn this off depending on the type of training that I am doing. So with all these properties configured, we will just go ahead and hit OK. And there is our source. Look at this preview window. You should see your screen displayed. And you will see this kind of infinite mirror effect where OBS shows OBS showing OBS, and that's completely normal. It happens because OBS is capturing itself. In your actual recordings, you would either minimize OBS or use window capture to avoid this. But for now, this confirms display capture is working. You will also notice that display capture now appears in your sources panel. There is an eye icon next to it, which controls visibility. If you click the eye, it hides the source, and turn it back on. So we have successfully added our first source. Our screen is now being captured. Now we need to capture sound. Now remember from the slides, there are two audio paths. Audio output capture records everything your computer plays through your speakers or your headphones. This is essential for recording Zoom meetings or YouTube videos or any application that produces sound. So I will click the plus button again, and at this time I will select audio output capture. The same dialog appears. I will call this laptop audio so I can easily identify it later. And then the property windows opens with the device dropdown. So this shows all the audio output devices on my system. So you might see options like speakers or headphones or specific devices like Realtek Audio or something like that. I have a couple choices here, and I can select default, which automatically uses whatever Windows has set as your default playback device. Or I can select a specific device by name. For most people, leaving this set to default is the best choice. It means if you switch between speakers and headphones, OBS will follow your Windows settings automatically. So I will click OK. Now look at the audio mixer panel at the bottom. You now see a new entry called laptop audio with a volume meter and a slider. So to verify this is working, let me play some audio on my computer. So as you were watching the desktop audio meter in the mixer, you saw the bars moving, showing the green and yellow levels. That confirms that OBS is capturing your computer's audio. If you see no movement, check that your device selection matches where your audio is actually playing. So you can right-click the source and select properties to change it. Excellent. We are now capturing both video and desktop audio. Now let us add my microphone so that I can narrate recordings. And this uses audio input capture. I'll click the plus sign again and select audio input capture. And I'll name this Audio Technica ATM 520 is the name of my microphone. The property windows appears with the device dropdown, just like before, but this time it shows input devices, our microphones. And you might see options like your built-in laptop microphone, which would be on my computer or my laptop, is this Realtek Audio, or a USB microphone by brand name, or an audio interface input. And because I am using an external microphone, I will select that from the list. Make sure you select the correct device. If you have multiple microphones connected, choosing the wrong one means that your voice will not be recorded. So I will click OK. Now look at the audio mixer. You see a third entry called Audio Technica that I named. So let me test this here by speaking. Watch the meter as I talk at normal volume. You will see the bars moving. And for speech, you may want the meter to reach into the yellow at normal volume. If it barely moves and stays in the green, your microphone is too quiet. If it constantly hits red, your microphone is too loud. So let me show you how to adjust the level. You see the slider bar below the meter. I can drag it to the left, or I can drag it to the right to increase it. Testing, 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 testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. So I really want it to be set where it's just coming out of the green and into the yellow nicely. And that looks pretty good. So perfect. We are now capturing our screen, our desktop audio, and our microphone. So let me show you a quick way to improve your microphone audio with a filter. If you are recording in a room with background noise like an air conditioner, computer fans, or ambient sounds from outside, OBS has a built-in filter that can help, and it's called noise suppression. Notice when I'm not talking, you can see the meter bouncing. This is actually my microphone picking up the fan in my laptop. And it's possible that after we perform this setting that you're going to see a pretty significant difference in the audio before I add the noise suppressor and after I add the noise suppressor filter. To add a filter, I right-click on my microphone source in the audio mixer, and a menu appears, and I select Filters. A new window opens, and this is where you add various audio processing filters to clean up your sound. The left side shows the filter list, which is currently empty. And the bottom has the plus sign and the trash can sign where you can add and remove filters. So I will click the plus button to add a filter. And this menu appears with all of the available audio filters. And you'll see the compressor, expander, the gain, the limiter, the noise gate, and the noise suppression. So I'm going to select noise suppression. This dialog asks me to name the filter. The default name is fine, so I'll click OK. Now the filter appears on my list, and the right side shows the filter settings. So you'll see this drop down with two options. RN noise is a more modern AI-based noise suppression that does an excellent job with consistent background noise. The other is an older method, so I recommend using RN noise for most situations. And that is all you need to do. The filter is now active. So let me demonstrate the difference. The filter is now reducing background noise in real time. And you can see that when I'm not talking, you no longer can hear the fan in my laptop. You see, it's no longer bouncing down there when I stop talking. And you should also notice that the overall background is now quieter while this filter is enabled. Now, one thing that I do like to do, and one thing that you might consider doing, is adding a little bit of gain to your microphone. If you're having problems, if you got this maxed out all the way to the top and you're still down here in the green, see where we're down here in the green, I'm talking kind of quiet, and maybe you're in an environment where you can only talk quietly. So let's add some gain. So I'll right click on the mixer again. I'll go to filters again. the plus sign, and gain. I'll move this over so that we can watch the meter. Okay, I'm just talking very quietly. Now watch what happens to the meter. Hello, hello, testing 1, 2, 3. That's way too much. Testing 1, 2, 3. That looks pretty good. So I'll try to find a happy medium where I'll just put it about right there. And then we'll bring this down a little bit. Down, down, down. We got it on 20 now. And it looks pretty good. I can bounce it up just a little tiny bit. We definitely don't want to go too far, even as I'm talking quietly. That's way too much. It's up in the red. And it's probably distorting on you right now. So let's turn it back down. Now that's way too low. But we do have a little gain on it, but we can't control it here once again. Sometimes when you are on a meeting and you really want to catch someone's audio, but they're talking really soft, you don't have time to go to your gain. You just manually do it right here. So I'm just going to find a happy medium. And a lot of times I won't even use the gain because I have such a high quality microphone. I can just simply adjust on the fly. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. That looks pretty good. We added just a little bit of gain, and I'm bouncing just out of the green into the yellow, and it looks fantastic. And I have room to adjust in case a quiet person comes on to my meeting and I need to bump that up manually. So we'll go ahead and close that window. So our microphone now has noise suppression and a little bit of gain applied automatically every time we record. We do not have to go back and change any of these settings if we are on this scene. This scene will always have these settings and we will never have to modify them again. So now that we have our sources set up, now we need to configure where OBS saves our recordings and what format and quality to use. And this is done in Settings. The Settings window opens with multiple categories on the left side. You see General, Stream, Output, Audio, Video, Hotkeys, Accessibility, Advanced. For recording, we only care about output and video. So let us start with output. At the top, you see Output Mode, and this can be set to Simple or Advanced. Simple mode is perfect for what we need. It gives us the essential controls without overwhelming complexity. So below here we can see streaming and recording. We need recording. And here are the first critical settings. The first is your recording path. This is the folder where OBS will save your recorded files. So we will click Browse to select that location. And I'll just make a new folder on my desktop. And I've created this folder called 1OBS. And we will select that folder. And now all recordings will always go into this particular folder. So what I personally do is I always have one folder on my desktop where everything goes. And that gives me a single location for all screenshots, all recordings, all images that I create. And then what I'll do is just move them exactly where I want them, which is typically on an external hard drive. I don't keep my data on my laptop just in case the laptop fails or there's a power outage or lightning strikes and fries my computer. I always have all data on an external hard drive. I'd never put anything on my computer. The only thing that my computer has on it is Windows and the programs to run the computer. No personal data, ever, ever, ever. I also recommend having that folder for your recordings on a drive with plenty of free space. A 1-hour recording can be several gigabytes. So next is recording quality. Click this drop down to see the options. And you see same as stream, high quality, medium file size, indistinguishable quality, large file size, lossless quality, tremendously large file size. And the high quality medium file size is the sweet spot. It produces excellent video that looks professional while keeping the file size manageable. Next is recording format, and this is very important. You will see options like MKV, fragmented MP4, hybrid MP4, MP4, MOV. Most recommend the hybrid MP4. Here's why. Standard MP4 files will become completely corrupted if OBS crashes or your power goes out during recording. You would lose the entire file. Hybrid MP4 protects your recording. It writes the file in a way that remains playable even if something goes wrong. And it finishes as a standard MP4 that works everywhere. The last setting here is encoder. This determines what hardware or software processes your video. If you have a dedicated graphics card from NVIDIA, AMD, or Intel, you will see hardware encoder options listed. Hardware encoding uses your graphics card and has minimal impact on system performance. If you only see software x264, that is fine too, but it uses more CPU power. For most users, the default selection works well. OBS typically chooses the best available encoder automatically. Before we move to video settings, let me point out something powerful that most beginners overlook. So you see these checkboxes labeled audio track 1 through 6. Right now, only track 1 is checked, and this means all of your audio sources, your microphone and your desktop audio, get merged together into one single audio track. Now, for basic recordings, that's perfectly fine, but here's where it gets interesting. What if you record a tutorial and later realize your microphone was too loud compared to the application sounds? Or if everything is merged together, you are stuck. You cannot fix it. However, if you check multiple tracks, you can assign different audio sources to different tracks. For example, your microphone on track 1 and your desktop audio on track 2. When you open the recording in a video editor, those tracks appear separately. You can adjust them independently. You can lower one or raise the other, or even mute one entirely. To assign sources to specific tracks, you go to the Edit in the menu bar, then Advanced Audio Properties, and there you will see checkboxes for each source and each track. And I'll show you that here in just a little bit. For now, we'll just check track 2, and we'll examine that here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and apply all our changes. And now let us check the video settings. Here you see base canvas resolution and output scaled resolution. Base canvas resolution should match your monitor's native resolution. Mine is 1920 by 1080. If yours is different, like 2560 by 1440 or 3840 by 2160, set it accordingly. Output scaled resolution determines the final resolution of your recording. For maximum quality, set this to match your base canvas resolution. If you want smaller file sizes and your source is 4K, you could scale down from those higher resolutions down to 1920, but I would not go any lower than that personally. The next setting is downscale filter. If you are scaling down, Lanczos provides the sharpest results. And I'll show you that real quick. If I was to downsize, I would just simply go down to Lanczos. But if your output matches your base, this setting does not apply. And finally, common FPS values sets your frame rate. For tutorials and presentations and talking head content, 30 frames per second is standard and produces smaller files. For gaming or fast motion, choose 60 frames per second. And we will choose 30. And I will click apply. to save these settings and then close. Our recording settings are now configured. OBS will save high-quality hybrid MP4 files to our chosen folder. Now let's talk about configuring multi-track audio, that advanced audio setting. It only takes a minute and gives you powerful editing flexibility later. First, we need to tell OBS to record multiple audio tracks. We'll just double check that setting. We will go back to the recording tab in the output settings. So settings, output, recording, and we have both tracks selected. It's already applied. And now we need to access a different menu. So here from the home screen, we will go to the Edit in the menu bar at the top, and then to Advanced Audio Properties. This new window opens showing all of your audio sources in a table format. And we see my microphone and the original desktop audio setting and the one that I named called Laptop Audio. For my microphone, I want this on track 1 only, so I will make sure that track 1 is checked and all the other tracks are unchecked. So now my microphone is assigned to track 1. Desktop audio we were not using, that was just the default. And the laptop audio that we named in this scene, in this source, we will set that to track number 2 and uncheck all the others. Now when OBS records, these audio streams will be kept completely separate inside the same video file. One important note, when you play this recording in a basic video player like Windows Media Player, you might only hear track 1, which is your microphone, and that is normal. The other track is still there, but simple players only play the first track. This is why I recommend VLC Media Player. Everyone uses it. All the pros use it. It is freeware, open source. It's an amazing tool. It will play any file. And I'll show you that here in just a moment. Or if you wanted to get into advanced audio, you would use Audacity. Once again, another amazing program that is open source, totally free, and absolutely outstanding. In a program like that, you can adjust each audio source independently, lower your microphone if it was too loud, or boost the desktop audio if it was too quiet, or just mute one entirely. And this is how professional content creators work. They record everything and then fix the balance in post-production. Most of us here, all we're trying to do is just record Zoom meetings, client meetings, any type of tutorial that we're wanting to grab a transcription from. So these are more advanced settings that you can investigate later after you have built this foundation in learning OBS. And there's plenty of YouTube videos out there that will take you to that next level. Now, before I close this window, let me point out something very important that you may have already noticed. Look at my audio mixer and watch my microphone levels as I speak. You notice that only one of these 2 bars is bouncing. And that is because my external microphone is a mono device. It captures sound through a single channel. OBS displays this as left and right, but the audio is only coming through one side. Should you worry about this? The answer depends entirely on what you plan to do with your recording. So let's take a look at this mono checkbox in the advanced audio properties for my microphone. Let me explain. If your goal is to extract the audio and send it to a transcription service like ChatGPT or Claude or Whisper or any AI transcription tool, it does not matter at all. Transcription services process audio in mono. They do not hear in stereo. They analyze the speech waveform from whatever channel contains audio and converts it to text. The left channel, the right channel, both channels, it makes no difference to the transcription's accuracy. In fact, when I was optimizing my own transcription workflow, I installed Python and Whisper on my local machine. And I discovered that I could create extremely small audio files using mono at a very low bit rate because I had minimal background noise. The transcription accuracy was 100% perfect. Stereo would have doubled my file size for zero improvement in transcription quality. So if transcription is your primary goal, you can leave this setting alone and move on. However, if people will watch your video with headphones, there is a consideration. Right now, my voice is only coming through one channel, and that means a viewer wearing headphones would hear me only in one ear. The other ear would be silent. Some people find this uncomfortable or distracting, especially for longer videos. The fix is simple. I'll just check this box labeled mono in the row for my microphone. If I check this box, OBS takes the single channel of audio from my microphone and duplicates it in both the left and right channels. My voice would then play equally in both ears for headphone listeners. So watch the audio mixer here as I speak. Both bars bounce together identically. The audio is now centered and balanced for headphone listeners. Watch it again while I turn it off. Only one bar. When I click the box again, there's both bars, both channels. So let me summarize when this matters and when it doesn't. If you are recording primarily for transcription, leave mono unchecked. It does not affect transcription accuracy, and smaller mono files actually process faster. If you are recording videos that people will watch with headphones, check the mono box so your voice plays in both ears. If you are doing both, like creating a tutorial that people will watch and you will send to transcription, check the mono box. It helps the viewing experience and does not hurt the transcription. For this training, I'll just leave the mono box checked since we want our recordings to sound professional for anyone who watches them. And I'll go ahead and click mono for the laptop audio as well. And now we can close the advanced audio properties window. Now it's time to execute a test recording. Before recording anything important, always do a test recording. This takes about 30 seconds and can save you from discovering problems after a critical session. Let me walk you through the process. First, we will verify that our preview shows what we want to record. For me, because I have multiple screens, I would have my display source set to one of my other monitors. If you only have one screen, you would have your Zoom meeting open behind OBS, and then you would just simply test it. You could minimize it. You can drag the other window in, double check that everything looks okay, and then basically just reduce your OBS Studio down into your tray. But what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add another source. Display, remember? And we'll call this left monitor. Capture method automatic. And which display did we want? The one on the left. There it is. Perfect. And we have that capture cursor still checked. You can see it there. And we'll hit OK. And there we go. I have my video source and I have my audio source. So let's go ahead and do our test recording now. Here's my laptop audio. Okay, you notice that the audio levels look pretty good. It never peaked into the red. The quieter parts of the song was staying down here, but as it was building in intensity, it did pop up into the yellow. So during my test, I want to keep an eye on that. Let's just do it for another 10 seconds. Okay, now there's your laptop audio coming through just fine. Here is my microphone audio coming through just fine. Everything looks great. Let's go ahead and hit start recording. And there we go. We are recording right now. Okay, looks good. Now, it's interesting because over here on my right screen, I am recording this second instance of OBS Studio with the first instance of OBS Studio. So I can literally go over there and click the pause button. I'll do that now, and you will not be able to see or hear me for this moment. And now I'm back. So here we are looking at the second instance of OBS Studio, but if I was to go over to the first instance and hit the pause button like this, I could literally stop my recording or pause my recording. Let's just say the doorbell rang and I'm right in the middle of this training. I could hit pause over there and then come back and pick up right where I left off, and you would have never noticed the difference. Or perhaps I fumbled a word while I was speaking to you during this tutorial. I could pause it, collect my thoughts, and then unpause it, and it's flawless. You would have never known that I paused. So as I showed you guys at the beginning, you select your scene, select your source, and basically all you're doing is starting, stopping, and pausing. So we just performed our test. And right now it's paused, but we'll go ahead and hit stop. Now let's go check that test. And remember, to find that recording, remember in the settings, I had dropped that file into that one OBS file that I created on my desktop. And there it is, and there is our MP4. So let's go ahead and play that. Double click it to open it. Let me drag that over here so you guys can see it. Now, it's interesting because over here on my right screen, I am recording this second instance of OBS Studio with the first instance. So there it is. There's our recording playing just fine over there in VLC Media Player. Outstanding. And just for fun, I want to go ahead and show you what this file looks like in Audacity. And again, Audacity is outstanding, used by professionals of all kinds, 100% free, open source, no ads, no watermarks. Absolutely awesome. I'm going to go ahead and open up that file. Now look, it shows the two channels. You see that? And then it shows that smaller bit rate. Let's go ahead and open that one. And there is our left and right channels. Now let's say I wanted to take out that dead air right there. Watch this. So here's basically what professional audio engineers would do. Like, let's say that was speech and there was a lot of dead air. They would just simply drag that and delete. Simple as that. We just cut that part of the song out. Real simple. All right, let's just take that whole section out right there. And now we just have the build-up, or the intro and the build-up, I think it's called. We'll try it one more time. Anyway, we're not training on that, but I just thought you guys might be interested in seeing that. So we could mute one side if we wanted to. We can record it in stereo for people with the headphones on, or perhaps you're playing it through your sound system. Or maybe you're listening to this in your office with your stereo system, or in your car, or wherever you have a left and right channel. But for transcription services, we could, in Audacity, pull one of these out. And then, as I was explaining before, if one side was too loud, one track was too loud, we could pull that one down and pull the other one up like it was talking about. So very cool. Very, very cool. That's a lot more advanced training that I did not intend on getting into, but I'm glad you guys got a chance to see it. Okay, I have moved the YouTube video over from my left screen over to my primary monitor, but I'm still seeing the left screen. Now I could delete that, or I could just drag my primary right on top. And there we go. We're right back in business on the primary monitor. Whatever is on top is going to be the one that shows in your preview and what is actually being recorded. So if I was to reduce this, there's our video. Now you see the first instance has a red dot showing that my first instance is recording. So when you are recording and you only have one monitor and you want to make sure that you are recording while you are watching your Zoom meeting, for instance, and you're nervous because you're not sure that you hit the record button, you can just look right down there and see that red dot. Now, you're not going to see two windows unless you have two instances open. You can see that I have two instances. And this is very, very, very rare. Maybe the second or third time in years that I've ever recorded a recording. I did do an OBS training a long time ago, but that was many versions ago. So this was a great time to re-record with all the new features and this beautiful new interface that they have compared to years ago. One other thing too that I might show you guys real quickly is in the settings, you can have your hotkeys. So basically I have a Stream Deck because I do a lot of recordings and trainings. You can look that up. They're pretty awesome. But if you just want to do pause and unpause or start and stop recording, you can record whatever hotkey you want. So I have Windows Alt and P, Windows Alt and U, because these are shortcuts that are not programmed to any program. Besides, I'm not doing it on my laptop. These are programmed to my Stream Deck. Let's say you have your Zoom meeting open and you wanted to set a hotkey so you can start recording without having to open up your OBS and put it on top of your Zoom. You've created a scene title, assigned the sources, assigned your audio, and now all you simply want to do is start recording, pause recording, unpause recording, and stop recording. But you don't want to close your Zoom or your meeting or whatever it is that you are recording. We know that all our settings are correct and they look great. So what we'll just go ahead and do is set those hotkeys. So just for example, for start recording, I could hit Shift S. For stop, I can hit Shift T or whatever it is that you want. Hit apply, and then you're good to go. So if that was the case, I'm not going to record those, but I could literally close this window and you will not see a red dot until you started recording. And then if you paused it, it would turn yellow. And then if you unpause, it'll turn back to red down here. And if you stopped it, you wouldn't see anything. And that's not what you want to see if you're actively recording. So just thought I'd show you those real quick. So just to demonstrate one last time, I have hit record and I am now recording on this second instance. And I am recording Beethoven. So you can kind of see it drag in there. See it coming in. So basically, I could be watching the Zoom meeting. Let me just play it and I'll turn the volume down. So we'll just assume that's a Zoom meeting. And I'll reduce this down to the bottom. And it is recording. You can see the meter bouncing, which is good. Okay, everything looks great. So here I'm watching my meeting. Everything looks fantastic. And after the Zoom meeting or whatever it is you're recording, you can just stop that, go back here to OBS and hit stop recording. Your recording and your audio goes into the file. And you have successfully recorded everything that was on your screen and any audio source that you chose. So we successfully recorded our test. We verified 3 things: that the video played smoothly without stuttering, that we could see the screen content clearly, and that we could hear both my microphone and desktop audio. If anything went wrong, like no audio or black video, we would go back and check our source configuration. The most common issues are selecting the wrong device in audio capture or the wrong display in display capture. So that test confirmed everything worked correctly. And now we're ready for real content. Before we wrap this up, let me just share a few practical tips that will make your recording session smoother. First, always close unnecessary applications before recording. This frees up system resources and ensures nothing pops up unexpectedly during your recording. Second, if you are recording a tutorial or demonstration, rehearse it once before hitting record. Know what you are going to show and in what order. Third, you can minimize OBS while recording, as I demonstrated. It does continue recording in the background. Fourth, if you are using hybrid MP4 and your recording stop unexpectedly, do not panic. Navigate to your recording folder. The file should still be playable up to the point where it stopped. And fifth, set up those hotkeys for starting and stopping recording as I showed you. So we have done it. We have successfully configured OBS Studio for professional screen recording. You have display capture recording your screen with the cursor visible for tutorials. You have audio output capture recording everything your computer plays, which means Zoom participants, YouTube videos, application sounds. You have audio input capture recording your microphone with noise suppression applied to reduce the background noise, the fan noise in my laptop. We also added a little bit of microphone gain. You have recording settings configured to produce high quality, crash protected, hybrid MP4 files saved to a dedicated folder. And you have verified everything works with the test recording. This is the exact setup used by professional content creators, educators, and trainers around the world. The same tools, the same workflow, and now it is yours. So go create something amazing. Record that tutorial, capture that meeting, share your knowledge with the world. You have the skills, you have the tools. Now put them to work. Thank you all so very much for viewing this training. I truly enjoyed preparing this tutorial for you, and I pray that it will be useful for you and your business. We are truly blessed to live in one of the most exciting times in our history. And if you don't know Jesus, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about the amazing grace that he offers and how a simple relationship with him can change everything. For me, he has shown me my purpose, which is to help you, my fellow brothers and sisters, to be good stewards of our business and to use AI and technology for the benefit of humanity.